Awesome. So welcome everyone to ACM-W North America. Here today we have one of our first guests, which is Sydney O'Connor. I will let her introduce herself, tell you what university she's coming from, and also how she identifies herself, and then I'll follow up with some questions. So thanks again, Sydney, for being here. And please go ahead and tell everyone who you are and where you come from.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. So again, my name is Sydney O'Connor, and I am entering my 5th year of our 5-year program at the University of Cincinnati in computer engineering. I'm also pursuing my master's degree in computer science, so we have a dual program where you can get both. And I served as ACM-W's president for the UC chapter this past year, and I'll actually be doing it again for this coming year. So I've been involved in ACM-W since about my 2nd year of college, and it's been a really positive experience for me, really helped me grow as an engineer, as a woman in community with the other women at my school, and really helped me to kind of give back to the community since it's given so much to me. So I'll be a student next year, and then I'll be graduating and be an engineer full-time, hopefully afterwards.
Awesome. And I am claiming that for you too, that you will be gainfully employed. We won't let any pandemic stop us. Awesome.
No.
So my next or first question for you is, how did you come to computing? And, what was the spark that made you know that you wanted to be involved in this field?
Yeah. So my first year at the University of Cincinnati, I entered into the engineering program in a program called the Freshman Engineering Program, which essentially was just like a general undecided program for people who knew they probably wanted to do engineering but didn't really know what field they wanted to go into. So for the first year, I took the same classes as everyone else took, but I didn't know what discipline I wanted to do. And one class that we took that really interested me was a programming class. It was really basic, like programming, just kind of using Python and MATLAB to solve real world problems, no like real theory based things. But I really, really liked the opportunity to use coding to solve the issues facing the world today. And I actually was fortunate enough that my partner in that class was another female computer engineer, which is like crazy, the odds of that. And so we just really hit it off, and she like kind of hearing about her experiences really got me interested. And I decided that's what I wanted to pursue. And the two of us have been pretty much the only 2 girls in our grade since then, but have really, really had a strong bond. I've never been happier about a decision that I've made.
That's awesome. And that is highly uncommon, but I'm so happy that the 2 of you were able to link together to kind of encourage each other. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you most excited about right now and what you're doing in computing?
Yeah. So since deciding to do computer engineering a few years ago, I picked computer engineering specifically because I really liked the combination of both hardware and software. I decided to do my master's degree in just computer science just to get a little bit more software emphasis. But in general, I do really like the combination of both things. So I've been able to do so through our school, we have a co-op program. So every other semester we have to work full time. So I've had the opportunity to I'm doing my 4th co-op right now. And so those have been all really great experiences and are probably what's been getting me the most excited about things in the computing field. So I did my first 2 co-ops at a company called L3 Technologies, which is a defense contracting company. And then I did my next one at Tesla out in Palo Alto, California. And then this summer I'll be with Apple. And so at Tesla and Apple and a little bit of L3, I've been doing firmware development, which has really been what I found my passion and like my niche in. I really enjoy, because it's mostly writing software, it's mostly developing in C, but it is also, that development is used for the hardware. So I was able to see, how that affects the hardware and testing it on the hardware. So kind of getting the full picture that I really enjoy. So I'd say that's probably what I've been most excited about. And I'm definitely excited to get a little bit more into my internship this summer and dive deeper into the field.
That actually sounds really exciting. So,
yeah.
And so I'm not a computer engineer, I'm a computer scientist, but I'm actually working with some computer engineers and doing some looking at autonomous vehicles. So they're doing the hardware
Oh,
side of
cool.
things,
Yeah.
and so more on the software side. So I love that that's the area you're in. So that was very exciting to hear. And I'm glad those experiences are giving you all the tools that you need in your toolkit. So that's great. So what are your most effective personal habits that you have, or something that you've learned that you could share with our viewers?
Yeah. I think definitely something that's really helpful that has gotten me through the past 5 years has been just staying connected to my community, especially within ACM-W, seeking out female mentors, female mentees, my peers, other women in the community that can really just help lift me up, because there's not really, as I'm sure most of you know, there's not really this, like, no one else quite understands your experiences in the same way that a woman in computing does. It's just it's a very difficult field to be a part of. And so I think it's really important that you really make sure that you're seeking out people to help support you in that. Because even if you feel like you're doing okay one day, you're almost guaranteed to run into something the next day. And even if you are like in a good spot, I've always really enjoyed being able to give back and help mentor women younger than me. So I'd say that's probably the biggest thing. But beyond that has just been really staying dedicated and staying true to myself. Since I didn't decide to go into computing until about like halfway through my freshman year of college, I had never coded at all in high school, barely in college, really had no idea what I was doing. So for sure, entering a male dominating field like that was very intimidating. So something I've definitely made sure that I've been doing is just staying confident in myself and knowing that even though I might not have had as much experience at first, I am just as capable as everyone else. And just continuing to learn and push myself and not get too hard on myself, and definitely not compare myself, because that really is just your downfall. And 9 times out of 10, you are more capable, even if the guys are louder about it. In fact, probably 10 times out of 10, I think you are. Yeah, so I'd say just being confident to myself and staying connected to my community has been what's helped me stay successful.
Community, that is so important. And that's a huge tip. Um, so I hope everyone really listened and heard that. What is, or would you say, has been the biggest obstacle that you face or that you have faced, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah. So I think as a whole, just being in such a male dominated field has for sure been the biggest obstacle, but specifically my first co-op rotations were really, really tough for me, because I was the only female co-op, and I was working at a company that was almost entirely middle-aged white men. And I've just felt very out of place. And since I was still really new to the field, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no professional experience, no technical experience really. And so I doubted myself a lot. And a lot of the men there and a lot of my like co-op friends were really not very supportive, made demeaning comments. And at the time, I didn't really have the confidence to either stand up to them or like not believe them. I really took them personally. And I think that was really hard. And there was a time there for sure when I was really close to just switching out of engineering entirely, definitely out of computing, because I didn't feel like I was smart enough. And mostly I just didn't feel like I was interested in what I was doing. But I stuck with it. And the more I look back on it now, I definitely have the interest in it. It's hard to really pursue that when you're in an environment where you're not free to explore it and fail and ask questions. So I would say finding that confidence and getting over that kind of toxic environment was probably the biggest obstacle that I faced. But the more experience that I gained and finding different co-op environments and just kind of becoming more okay with who I was really helped me get over that.
Thank you, number one, for your transparency and for your courage. I just want to tell you that because I too know what that feels like. And so by you pushing through and still sticking with it, that says a lot about who you are. So I already know you have the courage and confidence. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I
For
appreciate
that.
it.
You're welcome. And what advice would you give to a young student in computing on how they can be successful?
Yeah. I would just echo probably what I said before.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely get involved in your community. find a female mentor. I know there aren't many. Like obviously the field is very limited, but that's kind of, especially within college, that's a huge perk of ACM-W. There are women from every class in ACM-W, and everyone I know is more than willing to give back and to mentor younger students. So I know it can be kind of scary and weird to like, and it seems really formal to like ask someone to be your mentor, and you don't have to do it that formally by any means. But really just look for those relationships with older students. Like it's going to be really helpful in your professional development, but if nothing else, it's nice just to have someone to be like, oh yeah, this professor, don't take them. Like maybe take this class instead. Just little stuff is really going to make your college experience much easier. And then additionally, if you can find like a professional mentor, a woman who is like working in the field, that is also going to be really helpful. But I understand that can definitely be a little bit harder to access in college. But just in general, trying to find women who understand you and support you and validate you. I think that was one of the biggest things I struggled with at first, is that I felt like my struggles and the things that the guys that were saying to me weren't valid because they weren't necessarily like outright physical harassment. But you know, someone doesn't have to physically harass you before it's not okay. And having women who understand that is really going to help you get through those times.
Thank you. I have really enjoyed speaking with you today in our very short time. I really have. I think you really dropped some gems today. And I guess my last question is, do you have any public facing social media where people can still follow your journey or connect with you that you'd be willing to share with us today?
Yeah, for sure. I'd be happy to connect with any of you guys on LinkedIn. My name's just Sydney O'Connor on there. Should be pretty easy to find. And then I also have Facebook, Instagram. All my handles I think are Sydney O'Connor. I'd be more than happy to share that with any of you. Yeah, but best of luck. I know it's always tough, but I was glad to have this opportunity to share my experiences, and hopefully you all can get through it.
Awesome. Well, we thank you so much today, and please connect with Sydney on social media, Sydney O'Connor on all social media platforms. And we thank you and give you all the hand claps, virtual hand claps out there, everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.